Okay, good evening, everyone. Welcome. As we welcome in Mark Frankel, Shalom Fogel, Irving Fishbaum, Saba, we welcome in A.B. Spry, Berish Gessim, Mel Zachter, Baruch Ian, Marshall Castle, Eddie Chazan, Stephen Holtzman, Dr. Black, Mo Kushner, Ruvain Pollack, Dr. Guy, Nachman Chapler, Rabbi Kranz, Abe Arbach, Ilya Shutman, Pesach Siegelman. We welcome in David Helfgott on Kalaloshin here in Shul. We have Reb Kramer, Rich Leonard, Avram Schenkman, and we are holding on the bottom of Daf Samachay Amid Bey, sponsored by Baruch Ian, Lilo Nishmas Esther Bas Yona, Yaakov Chaim Ben Abba, Avram Ben Shmuel Kohen, Lefu Shalem for Baruch Shlomo Ben Lina, by Aaron Swade, Lilo Nishmas Chana Bas Shmuel, Freda Bas Shol, by Shimon Deer, for the Chalei Adaf, for the Chalei Yisrael, for Mark Frankel, for Miriam Sor, Bat Zipporah, and Chana Bas Gittel Esther, Berich Goldwasser, for Akar Satay, for what Hashem did for his family and the Chalei Yisrael, and L'Refuah Shalema for my Shver, Avigdor Aryeh ben Rivka, Meir ben Chayesari, Yehuda Cyril Bas Miriam, and for the Yidden of Eretz Yisrael. We have a full program tonight, Rabbi Isai, because after the Shir we're going to have the Chumash Shir. We are holding by Amar Abaya, and that is 9 lines from the bottom. I will tell you that tonight's daf is easier than the last 2 blots, so that you could take a rest a little easier. It's the last two blot were pretty hard. So Amar Abaya, Amaloi Eid Echad, if Mark says to Marshall, Achalta Chalev, you ate Chalev. Now Chalev is an Issachar, and he said you ate Chalev, b'shoigeg. You thought it was a hot dog, but it was really Chalev. V'hala Omer, and excuse me, V'hala Shaisik, and Marshall is quiet. He doesn't say anything. So the din is Neman. So Mark is believed, and Marshall has to bring a chattis. Of the 36 chayve creases, if he does it b'shageg, he has to bring a chattis v'tana tuna. And we learned the same thing in a Mishnah. Amalei ate echad achalta chalev. If one witness says to Marshall, Mark says to Marshall, you ate chalev. Va'ala aimer, and Marshall says, lo echalti. No, it was a Satmar Frankfurter. Potter. But time at the Amalei, but it's only if Marshall vehemently says no. Ha ishtik, but if he's quiet, Mehemen, Mark, even though he's an 8 echad, is believed, and Marshall has to bring a chattis. And the Gemara says in 2 more places the same kind of idea. V'amar Abaya, Amalei 8 echad nitmu tarosecha. One witness said, Mark said, Marshall, your chulin became tameh. V'ala shaisik, and Marshall is quiet. Neman, Mark's believed. V'tana tuna, and we learned that way in the Mishnah. 8 echad aimer nitmu. Mark says to Marshall, your chulin is tameh. V'ala aimer, and Marshall says, no way, loy nitmu. So potter, then it's exempt, and it doesn't have a din of tumah his chulin. Time adamalei, but that's only if he opposes it or ishtik. But if Marshall is quiet, me'emen, then 8 echad, and Mark is believed. Third case, v'amar Abaya, amalei 8 echad. One witness, again, Mark says to Marshall, Sharcha nirva, your ox was sodomized. Now, an ox that's sodomized, if it's one witness, is disqualified from eating carbon. If there's 2 witnesses, it has to be put to death. But if it's only one witness, it's disqualified from being used as a carbon. Va'ala shaisik, and Marshall is quiet. Neman. V'tana tuna, and we learned likewise, v'shenevda b'yaveira, if a sin was done with it, like it was sodomized, v'shehemis al piyed echad, and it killed on the testimony of one witness, oy al piyabalim, or on the admission of the owner, Neman. Now, hay al piyed echad echidami. What does it mean on the say-so of one witness? If Marshall was in agreement, so then that's already al pi bailim. You don't need to come on to the one witness. Hainu al pi abalim. Elalav the shasik. Even though he's quiet and he doesn't admit it, but he's quiet, we believe in Eid Echad, we believe Mark. And now the Gemara wonders, as we are holding on Daf Samach Vav Amid Aleph, and we're holding already, just getting under the way, 5 lines from the top of Daf Samach Vav Amid Aleph, it's Tzricha. We need to have all 3 of these cases. Let's review what the 3 cases was. The first case was Marshall eating the chaylev. The second case is Marshall's chulin became tameh. And the third case is Marshall's animal was sodomized. In all those cases, we believe Mark if Marshall is quiet. So says the Gemara of Tzricha, and we need all of these cases as we welcome in Gedalia Engel, who ditched us tonight. Gedalia, we need you over here. I mean, we're trying to develop a minion over here.
He's going to the Rangers game.
No, it's not good. It's not good. Especially we have a chumash here tonight. You know, it's only because Baruchian is in Florida that he's not down here. Otherwise, he would be down here. You think he's lazy to come a block away from his house? Not Baruchian. No way. He has Ukrainian blood. He would not stay away from coming to a shul. What do you think? Where are you? In Deerfield Beach, right? Yeah.
God forbid I would have Ukrainian blood.
Okay, Russian blood. You know.
That's even worse.
He has Jewish blood. That's what he has. But anyway, I'm telling you, if I would have everybody that's on this board down here, we would be hopping. Says the Gemara, Tzricha. We need all 3. If we would say in the case where Mark said that Marshall ate the chaylev, you know why? Because we say the fact that Marshall is ready to bring a carbon, if it's not warranted, is chulin ba'azara. So therefore, his admission must be like a concession. Because ilab de kimlu benafshe David, if not that he was pretty sure that Mark was right, chulin ba'azara lo have a ma'aseh. He wouldn't bring a carbon chatas and risk bringing chulin into the temple courtyard. Aval nidmu tarusecha, but if Mark says your chulin became tameh, Marshall says, well, what's the difference? So I'll eat it b'mei tumah. I'll eat it when I'm tameh. That which he's quiet, it's not that it's an admission. He says he doesn't care. And yet even over there we say we believe Mark and it's tameh. Because there's a loss. There's a loss that he won't be able to eat it b'mei tara. And therefore we say he would have protested if he didn't really think that Mark was right. Aval shoro nirva, but the fact that Mark said that his ox was sodomized, he says, who cares? I'm not planning to bring it as a carbon. He's my work ox, so I'm going to have him, at a tailgate party. I'm not planning to bring him as a carbon. That's why he doesn't pay attention to what Mark was saying, because what's the difference? He says, I'm not a charitable person. I'm not bringing it as a carbon. Says the Gemara, Tzricha. Now this gets a little bit. We're gonna let Marshall off the hook on this one.
You said it was going to be an easier job.
Yeah, we're gonna let Marshall off the hook on this one, not because of Marshall, but we feel for his wife. Ibayalu. If let's say Mark says, Marshall, I got bad news for you. Not Marshall. Chatzkel, I got bad news for you, Chatzkel. Ishtecha zinsa. Your wife, she's having an affair. Right? So, Ibayalu. Ishtecha zinsa be'eid echad. If, let's say, a witness, Mark said that Chatzkel's wife committed adultery, Vishoisik, and Chatzkel is quiet. Whoa. Mahu. Could Chatzkel continue living with his wife? A woman who commits adultery is forbidden to her husband. If she does it b'mezid, for sure. So, and here, Chatzkel is quiet. What's the din? Amar Abaya Neman, Mark is believed and she's forbidden to her husband. Rava Amar Einay Neman, Rava says, I'm sorry. Mark is a nice guy, he lives in Bela Kinwood, he said he's not going to go to a hockey game, Chas v'shalom, during the daf, not like some other people that I know, but no, definitely not a person that's, sane. The Lamaisa is, Rava says Mark is nice and everything like that, but now you're talking about a davar shebe'erva. You're talking about an immorality question, and we have a rule: davar shebe'erva, you need to have two witnesses. Rava amein and nemen avi davar shebe'erva, the ain davar shebe'erva pachas mishnayim, and therefore she's not going to be forbidden to Chatzkel unless there's two witnesses. So Abaya surprisingly says that if Mark says it and Chatzkel is quiet, she becomes forbidden to Chatzkel. So Amar Abaya mino aminala. How do I know this? Dahu Samya, there was a blind person that although he was blind, he knew his Mishnayos very well. We should never be blind, Rahman al-Itzlan. Dahu Samya dava mesader masnaisa kamei demar Shmuel. There was a blind person that would review Mishnah before Shmuel. He had a seder. We would review the Mishnayos Baal Peh orally before Shmuel. Yom Echad Nogala. One day he was late. V'lo yahavei ka'asi, and he didn't arrive on time. So Shmuel was worried about him. After all, he was blind, so Shmuel was worried about him. Shadar shlicha abasrei. So he sent a messenger to find out where he is. Maybe he's having a problem. So he sent a messenger after him. Ad azul shliach b'chada urcha. While the agent was going in one direction, asa iyo b'chada. The blind person came in a different route and came to Shmuel. They missed each other. He went with the side streets, and the blind person came, on the avenue, and they missed each other. Ki also shliach, when the agent came back to tell Shmuel he couldn't find him, while the blind person was already there, Amar, the agent had a sorry thing to say. The agent said, Ishtoi zinsa, your wife, she committed adultery. So also the Kamei de Mar Shmuel, so the blind person came before Mar Shmuel and asked him, what's the din? Amalei, so Shmuel told him, if you trust him, then zil upka, then you should divorce her. V'ilai, and if not, loy tapin. Now what does that mean? My love, imehemin Allah delav gazlonahu. If you believe that he's not a thief, that there's nothing in him that would passel him for Eidos, he's not a thief, he's not a Mesachik Pekuvya, he's not a gambler, he's not a Mafricha Yainim, he doesn't bet on the doves or on the horses, he hasn't lied in court anywhere, so then you should divorce your wife. So Abaya says, we see from here, that an Eid Echad, one witness, is believed, even though it's a davar shebe'erva, even though it's a davar of a question of immorality. Rava said, no. What he meant to tell him is really, you're not mechuyev to divorce her. And because you're not mechuyev to divorce her, the Rishonim say, if you do divorce her, you have to give her a ksuva. Because you need two witnesses. But he told him, ethically, If in your heart you trust this man like two witnesses, then zilapka. Then you should not, it wouldn't be right for you to continue living with her. You don't have to divorce her. And if you do divorce her, since you're not legally forced to divorce her, you would have to pay her ksuva. But if you believe this witness like two people, then it would be morally correct for you to divorce her. But if not, you don't give him such a level of credibility, then like tapka, you don't have to divorce her because it's a davar shebe'erva, ve'ein davar shebe'erva, pachas mishnayim. So now Abaye brings another raya. V'amar Abaye, where do I know this from? Where do I know this from? The Tanya, Ma'isa b'Yanei HaMelech. This is already a sorry story. Yanei HaMelech was from the Chashmonaim dynasty. We know that the Chashmonaim dynasty did something which they really shouldn't have done, even the righteous ones, in that the fact that the Chashmonaim were Kohanim. And there's a division of power in Yiddishkeit. It says, Lo Yasser Shevet mi Yehuda. The scepter shouldn't leave Yehuda. Royalty belongs with Yehuda. The monarchy belongs with Yehuda. The kahuna belongs with the Kahana. The Chashmonaim wrongfully usurped two crowns. They took the monarchy besides the kahuna. So Yanei HaMelech was infamous king of the Chashmonaim dynasty, which was towards the end of the Bayesheni. Shahalach l'koichelis shebamidbar. Yanei went to a area called Koichelis in the desert. V'kiba sham shishim krochim, and he defeated over there 60 cities. It was a miraculous victory. And in return, he had a tremendous rejoicing. And he summoned the sages of Yisrael. Our ancestors ate meluchim, a salted herb. Actually, Rashi says that yerokus came. They're a type of vegetable, and they did it. Bizman asukim bebinyan Beis Hamikdash, when they were occupied in the building of the Beis Hamikdash, they came back from Bavel, and they were poor, and they used all their resources on the building materials, and therefore they ate only in an impoverished way. They ate only herbs because they didn't have they didn't have funds. So he said, "Af anu," we also, in order to remember, it's an act of humility. Will also eat meluchim humbly in thanks to the Rabbeinu Shalom for letting us conquer and making us rich. That's what Rashi says. If you look in Rashi, Kisha Yasukim Bebinyan Bayesheni Shebo Menagayla, when they came back from the diaspora, and they would spend all their money on the work. Af anu noichel meluchim, will eat this herb in remembrance of the poverty of our ancestors, and to thank Hashem that He saved us, and He made us wealthy. So just like He saved us then and allowed us to build the Beis Hamikdash, we thank Hashem for the conquest and for giving us wealth. So far, this Zeichel Aviseinu v'helu meluchim al shulchana shel zav, and he brought the herbs and served it on tables of gold. And this was to show that he remembers their poverty then, and the thanks to Hashem now that Hashem gave them wealth. V'achlu. So this started out. The story starts out very nice and very humble. However, beware of a rotten apple. Beware of a rotten apple. Why is everybody looking in one direction? Says the Gemara, Mark, I caught you looking. Says the Gemara, Shelley's covering his eyes. He's covering his eyes. But anyway, the Aviament is giving you sneers. Vayusham echad, there was over there a man, ish leitz, a scoffer, levra, an evil heart, uvli'al, and cruel. The Elazar ben Po'ira Shemai, and Elazar ben Po'ira was his name. He didn't like that the sages were sitting and basking with the king. V'yomer Elazar ben Po'ira liYanai HaMelech, and Elazar ben Po'ira said to Yanai HaMelech, you see how one person, I shouldn't compare Marshall to this rat. Marshall is actually a nice guy. This person was really a rat. Yanai HaMelech, Libam shel Prushim, the Prushim, those were the sages that separated from sin. Libam shel Prushim alecha, the Prushim have it out for you. So Yanai said, Uma ese, what should I do to prove that what you're saying is right? Yanai says you got to prove your accusation. Those are serious accusations. So Elazar ben Po'ira had it all figured out. Hakim lahem b'tzitz shebein einecha. Appoint yourself as a Kohen Gadol. You're Kohen. Appoint yourself as a Kohen Gadol. Wear the tzitz. Tzitz was the gold plate that was worn on the forehead of the Kohen Gadol. And when the Kohen Gadol wore the tzitz, everybody had to stand up because it has Hashem's name, Kodesh LaHashem. Hakim lahem b'tzitz shebein einav. So he caused them to rise by wearing the tzitz. Now, this brought out a problem. There was a rumor that Yanai's mother was once a captive amongst idolaters. And if she was a captive amongst idolaters, then there's a likelihood that she was molested. And then her father, the Kohen, couldn't have married her. And if he did marry her, then he would have a din of a chalal, and he wouldn't be right to serve. He certainly wouldn't be right to be a Kohen Gadol. So, of course, the fact that he wore the tzitz and took the office of the Kohen Gadol, what did this prompt? Hayasham Zaken Echad, there was an elder, the Yehuda ben Gedida Shmai, Yehuda ben Gedida was his name, the Yomi Yehuda ben Gedida liYanai HaMelech, so Yehuda ben Gedida wanted to avoid a problem, so he said respectfully, Yanai HaMelech, Ravlach Keser Malchus, it's enough that you have the scepter of the monarchy. Hanach Keser Kuna Lazari Shalaron. You leave the kahuna, especially the office of the Kohen Gadol, to the Zari Shalaron. Why did he do this? I mean, that's, sacrilegious to tell the king not to do something. After all, he was assumed to be a Kohen, so why can't he be a Kohen Gadol? Shaya Aimrim, because Yehuda ben Gedidya was aware that there was a rumor that Imai Nishpis b'Maidiyim, that his mother was taken as a captive, and therefore he would be a chalal, because she would be assumed to have been molested and pasal the kahuna. And if the father, the Kohen, married her, he would be a chalal, Yana would be a chalal and disqualified from kahuna. Now the truth is, v'yavuka shadavar, the matter was investigated, v'loy nimtza, and it was found not to be true. However, v'yibadlu chachma Yisrael b'zam, but at that time, Yanai dismissed the sages of Israel in anger. But this didn't satisfy Elazar ben Po'ira. Vayomer Elazar ben Po'ira liYanai HaMelech. Yanai HaMelech, Hediyat shebi Yisrael kachu dinai. If you would be a commoner, then they would get away with just being rebuffed in anger. But v'ata melech v'kohen gadol. But you're the king and the kohen gadol. Kachu dincha. The way they treated you, they questioned your pedigree. That should be the response. So Yanai played right into his hands. So what should be my response? So Elazar ben Pa'ira said, Im ata shemeya la'atzasi, if you listen to my advice, roimsein, you smash them. So Yanai said, I can't smash them. Who's gonna? They're the Bnei Torah. They're the Paiskei Yisrael. What's going to be with Torah? The Torah matahei aleh. Oh, what's going to happen to Torah? So this Rasha said, "Hare kruchom meneches b'keren zavos." Don't worry, the Torah is rolled up and is in the corner. It's available for anybody to learn. Kol ha'roitze lilmod yaveh v'yilmod. Amar Rav Nachman bar Yitzchak miyad nizrika b'apikursus. At that moment, heresy filled the head of Yanai, because otherwise Yanai should have responded, yeah, that's Torah Shebiksav, but who's going to maintain the Torah Shebal Peh? Dahavalei lamei meteinach Torah Shebiksav, Torah Shebal Peh, mai. Miyad v'toitze tzara al yedei Elazar ben Pa'ira. Evil spread because of this wicked Elazar ben Pa'ira. V'yahargu kol chachmei Yisrael. And Yanai killed, look at this, because of honor, he killed all the Chachmei Yisrael. And the world was desolate. Ad sheba Shimon ben Shetach. What happened is that Yanai's wife was the sister of Shimon ben Shetach. And she heard about what was happening, and she managed to hide her brother. So Shimon ben Shetach was able to return the Torah to Yisrael. This is like the same thing after the 24,000 Talmidei Rabbi Akiva passed away. So Rabbi Akiva and the 5 Talmidim of the south returned the Torah. So here Shimon ben Shetach restored the Torah. Now, what's the case over here? What was the case where there was a rumor? Hechi dami. Ilema debate trei imrei ishtavoi. If 2 witnesses said that she was taken into captivity, ubei trei imrei lo yishtavoi, and 2 witnesses said that she wasn't taken into captivity. So then, why do you say that it was found to be unfounded? It should have remained a suffix. My chazes to samchas hahani smoich hahani. What does it mean that it remained to be unfounded? Ella, it must be be'ed echad. It must be that there was 1 witness that said that she was taken into captivity. The time of the kamachish le'beitrei, and it's only that it was unfounded because 2 witnesses said it's not so. Holav hachi, but if not, mehemen, the 1 witness would be believed. So that's a raya to Abaya, that even though it's a davar shebe'erva, the 1 witness would be believed. Really, it was 2 witnesses against 2 witnesses. But here, the reason why the second set was believed and it was found to be unfounded is what happened is Reuven and Chaim said, we saw her captured in Modi'in, and then Dr. Block and Stephen came along, because they're really older than they look. Dr. Block and Stephen came along and they said, you couldn't have gave that testimony because on that day you were with us in Bangkok, you weren't in Modi'in. So then we believe the second 2 witnesses because they're Eidei Hazama. Or Kidama Rav Achabar Rav Yomi be'Eidei Hazama. Hachanami be'Eidei Hazama. There we believe the second witnesses. When the second witnesses said that, you couldn't have given testimony in Modi'in, Reuven and Chaim, because you were with us on that day in Bangkok, then we believe Dr. Black and Stephen. V'ba Yisema, or else Kid Rabbi Yitzchak. It's like Rabbi Yitzchak. What happened is 2 witnesses said that she was taken in captivity. The second 2 witnesses did not contradict them. They corroborated. Yes, she was taken into captivity, but before she was alone with them, they managed to make an Entebbe-type rescue and rescue her and put a shivka there instead. So that which you saw that they had someone, it was a shivka, it wasn't her. So since they didn't contradict them, so we believe the second witness, second set of witnesses. Kid Reb Yitzchak, the Amar Reb Yitzchak, shivka hichnisu tachter. So now, Amar Rava, and as I said, we're turning to Daf Samach Vav Amid Beis, and Mark hasn't even broken a sweat. He hasn't even broken a sweat. He says, if this is the way the daf is, I could do 3 of them tonight. Now, Rava says, Mina minallah. How do I know that you can't trust one witness? So therefore, in the event that Mark says that Chatzkel's wife committed znus, we don't make her usher to Chatzkel because ein davar shebe'erev pachas mishnayim. Says Rava, how do I know this? The Tanan, for we learned in the Mishnah, Reb Shimon, Maise b'megora shel diskim b'yavna. This is an interesting case. Megora is a pool of water, a mikveh. There was a mikveh in the city of Diskim in Yavna, or that's the name of a person. It was assumed to be a complete mikveh of 40 sa. However, umadidu, they measured it, and let's say on Sukkot, it was last measured, and they assumed that it was kosher. It was measured. It was 40 sa, and the whole Sukkot, Chalamayid, they were toivel people and items in that mikveh, and then the day after Simchas Torah on Isur Chag, they measured it v'nimtzis chatzeir, and it turned to be lacking. It wasn't 40 sa; it was only 37 sa. So, kol Tyrish nasis al gaba, everything that was toivel in the mikveh during the whole Chol Hamoed, hoyu Reb Tarfon mitar. Reb Tarfon said it was tar. You know why? Because since in the beginning of Sukkot it was measured and it was 40 sa, it had a cheskes kashus. And if we have a suffix, we rely on the last known chazaka, on the last known presumptive status. Rabbi Kiva metame. Rabbi Kiva says, no, all the people that were toivel, all the tamidik things that were toivel and Chol Hamoed, we assume that they're tamei, they have to be toivel again. So Amar Rabbi Tarfon defends his position. He says, look, mikveh zeh b'cheskas shalom u'aymed. This mikveh had a presumptive status that it was 40 sa. Misafik at the balachasa, you want to make it less during Chol Hamoed? Al tachzirena misafik. Don't take it out of its chazaka. Rabbi Akiva doesn't look at the mikveh. Rabbi Akiva looks at the person. Rabbi Akiva looks at the keli. Rabbi Akiva, Adam zeh b'cheskas tameyu. Aymed. The person that went into the mikveh during Chol Hamoed was tamei. It was a cheskas tamei. Misafik at the balataro. Now it's a doubt whether it was still a good mikveh in Chol Hamoed. Al tatarenu misafik. Don't be matarim from misafik. So now the Gemara gets very interesting. Amar Rabbi Tarfon, Moshel la'omed umakriv al gabei mizbeach. This could be compared to somebody who was standing and he was offering items on the mizbeach. He was doing a karbonos. V'noida shu ben grushay ben chalutza. And it became known that he was a disqualified kohen. It became known that his father, who was a kohen, married a divorcee or a chalutza, which makes him a challah. Yet the din is everything before that, before all the avodah that he did before, when we didn't know this, is kosher. We're going to learn that out from a pasuk. Shavoidas sheira. And therefore, even though we find a mikveh now is no good, what was done before on Chol Hamoed is determined to be tar. Now, of course, and everybody is going to see this immediately, the two cases are not the same. Why is the avodah that he did before he found out, why is that good? He's definitely a chal, so then beforehand he was also a chal. The reason why it's good is because of Gzeres HaKosov. We're going to learn out Gzeres HaKosov, that avodah that he did before he knew about it is kosher. But that's a special Gzeres HaKosov here. If we knew that the mikveh was deficient on Chol Hamoed, the person would be tameh. It's only because we said that we want to shtelzach on the chazaka that the mikveh was good. So the two cases are not similar. So this is a kasha that the Ritva asks. It's really a very big kasha. And the Ritva says that all Rabbi Tarfon now is addressing is, the din is that if, let's say, the person, Marshall, was toivel on Chol Hamoed. According to Reb Tarfon, whatever Marshall handled on Chol Hamoed is good. But now that we found out that the mikveh is chaser, from now on, Marshall has to go to the mikveh again. So that sounds doesn't make sense. If you're making him go to the mikveh again, so how could you say that what he did on Chol Hamoed was good? So there we bring a parallel. Don't be surprised. That's what we're saying now by this kohen who you found a chalal. That from now on it's no good, but what he did before is good. So at least we have a parallel to that, so we shouldn't be confused. Rabbi Akiva says, look, if you want to compare it to something, this could be compared to Chatzkel, who's a kohen, that's standing on makrav on the mizbeach, v'noida shu balmum, and they realize that his eyes are off, and that's a blemish. So the din is that not only the karbanis that he did from now, but also the karbanis that he did before apostle. Shavadasai psula. So Rabbi Tarfon says, Rabbi Tarfon, ata di misa lebalmum. You're comparing to the situation to a kohen that's blemished. V'ani di misa leben gerusha ben chalutza. And I'm comparing it to a kohen that is the child of a grusha or a chalutza. So nira lemi daima. So let's see who's more correct. This case of the mikvah, is it more idaima leben grusha leben chalutza? If it's more similar to the case where we find out that he's a chalul, so nidainu keben grusha keben chalutza, and therefore it's only no good from now, but what was done before is good. Im daima lebalmum, if it's more comparable to a kohen that has a blemish, then you would be right, nidainu kebalmum, and it's no good even what was from before, it's no good even that which was done on Chol Hamoed. So Rabbi Kiva says, good gesagt. I'm going to show you that this is more similar to a balmum than to a ben grusha ben chalutza. Here's called Rabbi Akiva ladain. So Rabbi Akiva starts to prove mikvah psulai biyachid. A mikvah is disqualified if one person comes and testifies that the mikvah is deficient. Ubalmum psulai biyachid. And a balmum is disqualified if one person says that he has a blemish. V'al yoichiach ben grusha ben chalutza. Ben grusha ben chalutza is davar shebe'erva. Shepsuloi b'shnayim. It's only disqualified with two witnesses. Davar achar. Mikveh psuloi begufay. The mikveh has a intrinsic psul in the mikveh. It's missing the 40 saw. Balmum psuloi begufay. The balmum that has a blemish is a psul begufay. Al yoichiach ben grusha ben chalutza. Don't compare the case of Ben Grusha Ben Chalutza. That's a puzzle because of his parents. It's not a psul in him. Amalei Rabbi Tarfon. So Rabbi Tarfon bowed his head in defeat. Akiva, kalapayreish mimcha. Whoever separates from you, kapayreish minachayim. So the Gemara says, "Hi balmum shepsuloi biyachid heichidami." This balmum that's disqualified by one person. What's the case? If the kohen says, "No, I'm not a balmum," me mehemen, would we believe him? Ella deshasik. It must be that there's one witness, and the kohen is quiet. Or the kavose gabe ben grusha ben chalutza, where one witness has said, "Look, your father married a divorcee and a chalutza, the shasik," and we said that the kitani mikvah psula biyachid, a mikvah is disqualified by one witness. Ubalmum psula biyachid, val yochiach ben grusha ben chalutza shepsula b'shnayim. So you see, it's only with two witnesses. If it's one witness and the kohen is quiet, that's not good enough. So that's a raya to Rava that davar shebe'erva, even though the person is quiet, it's not enough. You have to have two witnesses. Abaye says no. It's talking about one witness, and it's talking about one witness, and the person denies it. So one witness where the person denies it by Ben Rusha Ben Chalutza, there we don't believe the one witness. By the mum, why do we believe the one witness even though the kohen denies it? Or the ka'amrit amay mehemen, by the mum, why do we believe the one witness if the kohen denies it? Because we tell him, look, you deny it, strip, and we'll see if you have the blemish or not. Da'amalei shlach achvei, take off your clothes and show us. And if he doesn't take off his clothes and show, that's a raya that he's lying. Now, and that's why it says, V'hainu diktani, that's the second part of Rabbi Akiva's statement. It wasn't really two statements, it's really one statement. V'hainu diktani mikvah psulei begufay, or balmum psulei begufay. The malmum is a psul in the person's body, and that's why even though he denies it, we believe the one witness. You can't tell him, take off your clothes. That's not going to help. And therefore, if he denies it, then we don't believe the one witness, because one witness where the kohen denies it, we don't believe him. Says the Gemara, you told us a whopper of a chiddush. It's a whopper of a chiddush. You told us that if Kohen Marshall, let's not pick on Marshall's parents. It's not their fault. So if let's say Chaim Cohen is doing the avodah all his life, and then one fine day it's revealed that his parents were naughty, and his father was a kohen, and he married a gerusha. So now he's a challah. So we say all the avodah that he did before is kosher, and only from now on it's no good. Why should that be? Any avodah that's left, we should disqualify it. He was a challah since he was a baby. So the Gemara says, "O ben grusha ben chalutza da avodah kshera," that the son of a grusha and a chalutza da avodah is kosher, that he did before he knew who he was. Minalan. How do we know this? Where do we know this from? Rabbi Yehuda Shmuel. So Rabbi Yehuda says in the name of Shmuel, the Amakra, the pasuk says, "V'hoisaloi ulezaroi acharav," and it will be to him and his seed after him, bris tunas oilam. And we darshan v'hoisaloi ulezaroi any zaroi, which means even zera apostle. Now, how could it be bein zera kosher, bein zera apostle? Now, how could it be that zera apostle avodah is good, a challah that does avodah is not good? It must be that if he did the avodah before he knew that it was a challah, it's good. Avud Shmuel Amamehacha. Avud Shmuel says from the following pasuk, Borech Hashem Chelai Hashem blesses his strength. Ufoyel yodav tirza, and the work of his hand is accepted. And we darshan baruch Hashem cheloi, even if he's chulin, even if he's a chalal, the work of his hand is accepted. Afilu chulin shabai, even those that are really profane, they're a chalal, tirza, their work is accepted when they did it before they knew about it. Reb Yanai has another source. And you come to the kohen that exists in that day. Now, what does that mean? How could you come to a kohen unless he's in your day? You can't come to a kohen from 100 years ago. He's under the ground. That means that as long as when you came to him, he was good, even though we find out later that he wasn't good, we only go by what it was by Yomi Mohaim, and therefore, if at the time that he did the avodah, he was assumed to be kosher, his avodah is kosher. How do we know? But if he finds out that he's blemished, he didn't know that was a blemish. How do we know that if he finds out that he's blemished, all his avodah is disqualified retroactively? Rabbi Yehuda Meshmol the Amakra Lachein Emor Hinini Noisin Loi Es Brisi Shalom. I give to him, this was Pinchas who was a kohen, a covenant of completion. It's only good if he was complete. If he wasn't complete, it's no good. Kishu Shalom v'loi Kishu Chaser. Says but it doesn't say Shalom. It says Shalom. An everlasting peace. It doesn't say complete. Va Shalom Ksiv. Amar Rav Nachman Vav de Shalom Ketiyahi. The Vav of the Shalom in the Sefer Torah is truncated. It's shortened. So it could be read Shalom to teach you that the kohen has to be Shalom. If the kohen wasn't Shalom, even if you find out afterwards, retroactively, it's no good. Okay, Rabbi, so we're going to stop over here because we have a delightful, special, wonderful, I shouldn't be saying it, but I'm going to say it because I worked very hard on it. We have a wonderful Chumash here coming up now.